Welcome back into the crease, and it's happened, people. Those bastards finally did it. The NHL is going back to the Olympics, and there are rumors, it hasn't been announced yet, but it is expected that the 2025 All-Star Game is no more. It will be an international competition featuring Canada, United States, Finland, and Sweden, baby. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to break all of that information down and get into what could be big, impactful news for the NHL next here on The Crease. Welcome into The Crease. Obviously, it's All-Star Weekend right now, and we are going to be talking about anything but that, as we've already pointed out on this segment. We are not fans of the All-Star Game, but there's big news on the horizon here. We've already gotten into it a little bit. We are talking NHL players in the 2026 Winter Olympics, baby. That is insane. But before we get into it, I want to give a big shout out to one of our affiliates, and that is Vivid Seats. If you are a sports fan who loves to go and enjoy your sports live in person, you need to get Vivid Seats. Use Vivid Seats and live vividly. They got tickets to all of your major sports games. We got playoffs coming up, baby. You want to make sure that you get all of the tickets and all the action coming down to the wire for your team. Go to Vivid Seats, use the link in the description of this video, and live vividly. And, you know, we were discussing before we started this episode. It's almost like the NHL was listening to us. And I know we're not the only ones calling for this, right? We weren't the only ones calling saying, hey, you know, they need to go back to the Olympics. But you really think about some of the other channels that cover hockey. And I think they do a good job. But they're just covering the news. They don't actually give the opinion of what could make it better. And what could make it better is exactly what the NHL has announced they are doing. They're going to be NHL players on the ice representing their countries in the 2026 Winter Olympics. That is huge news. However, there is a caveat to that right now. There are some names that will not be there as of right now, and it remains to be seen if they'll be allowed to be there. Obviously, everyone knows what's going on in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, that it's a sad thing to see and everything with the international stage and what's going on there. But it does have ramifications for sports, which is why we bring it up. Russians can participate in individual events under a neutral flag in the 2024 Olympics in Paris, but however have been completely banned from team events. That means that the 2026 Winter Olympics, if the ban stands, would not allow the Russians to compete with an ice hockey team. And we're going to get into some of the names to be broken down from that. But let's go ahead and start off on a high note here. Let's talk about what just happened. Gage, you and I have been on this Olympic train for a hot minute. I know Ian has been too. International competition is some of the best hockey we will get to see in our lifetime. And it's true of any sport that has an international a chance to play. You look at what the World Cup does for soccer. Those games are always televised. People who don't even watch soccer show out. This is going to have a similar effect that on hockey, I believe. But I want to get your opinion on this, man. NHL players, 2026 Winter Olympics. What are you feeling right now, man? I just gave you that great intro and you're going to be muted.
Mike.
Still can't hear him.
Still can't hear you. Try unplugging and replugging your microphone.
He's in IT. He's done that. Well, that's part of the 10 basic steps of troubleshooting.
Well, as I was trying to say before, I was so rudely muted by Gary Bettman and the NHL trying to censor me out here. No, I don't know why it took so long. I really don't. Like, ever since like the first year they didn't allow players to play, I don't think everyone that was a fan of hockey in general couldn't figure out why this move was made, because the Olympics is always, ever since they made it not an amateur event, they made it paid professionals are allowed to compete, that you want the best players in the world coming together and competing. And you can't have that if the best players in the world are not allowed to play. So I'm looking forward, because international hockey is leagues and above more exciting to watch than the NHL. Like, as much as I love watching the NHL, it's just everything. Everyone's way more into it. A lot of riding on the line for everyone, and you get so much more media attention where like entire countries will band together and watch and bring energy into it. The energy's unlike everything. If you're not excited about it, I don't know.
You're not a hockey fan.
I don't know what would excite you at that point.
Yeah, you probably need to take a hard long look in the mirror.
So many great memories of. I'll just last one before they stop letting players. TJ Oshie with that 7 rounds in a row shutout against, I think, Russia.
Against Russia.
Yeah, 7 in a row. Just kept letting them go out there, and it was those are moments you can't have just day to day NHL. Those are special moments.
There's no stay in the trapezoid rule.
And in all honesty, the craziest thing about this is that it did take so long, right? And we were complaining about it. We were like, this should have happened so much sooner. And you put out a lot of good points. And if you don't think this is big for hockey, walk into any local sports bar, any restaurant, B-dubs, any place that has multiple sporting TVs on, and walk in there during the World Cup for soccer. See how many people are sitting there watching soccer. It's insane. Right, especially for their team. Now do the same thing for the Olympics. When the Olympics come on, you might not give 2 shits about the Olympics. Most people don't. But I bet you know how many golds that or where the United States is ranked with gold medals. I bet you know how we did in some events. I bet you know if we're kicking ass in swimming. Everyone knows who Michael Phelps is. What does he do? He's a swimmer in the Olympics.
Everyone
this
knows
is huge.
Who he is.
Yeah, everybody knows that. And this is an insane time to not have the best athletes in a sport for, what is it, over almost a decade now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
2012 was last?
So we're over 12 years.
2014.
Over a decade.
2014 was
okay, so it is right at a decade. Right at a decade. And we haven't seen the best ice hockey players. It's insane. It'll be 12 years by the time they play. Yes, it will. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's unacceptable.
Exactly. Realistically, in today's climate, where you have the best of the best consistently going to take on these events, international championships, international tournaments, and every other sport, the fact that hockey, which is probably next to soccer, one of the most renowned worldwide sports, there's countries that you haven't even heard of that are going to have a fucking hockey team for the Winter Olympics. Okay, believe that. Right? And to not have the best players there is it's asinine. So finally Gary Bettman gets it right. But Ian, you've been hammering on the desk for this probably harder than anybody. So I'm going to let you have it, man. How do we feel now that we've finally gotten our way?
It's past about time. I'd say I get why they didn't do it in 2020. Or what was it, 2020 or 2021? Or 2022?
3-4 years, so it would have been 2022.
Okay, I get why they didn't want to do it in 2022. You're going to China. You're having to deal with COVID restrictions. If a player gets quarantined, they're out for 3 weeks. I get why you didn't want to do that. For you to take the easy way out and say, yeah, we don't want to go because we don't like the IIHF is unacceptable. You are the NHL. You are representing hockey across the world. You are the best sports league. You should want to showcase your best athletes. For you to say, oh, we don't like them, so we don't want to. That's just, you're useless. You're completely useless. You sat on your hands and said, I'm not going to budge because I'm a big baby. You would rather be a big baby, and it took arm twisting. It took everybody talking about it. I don't know how. I'm just afraid that they're going to pull out at the last minute, and this isn't going to happen, and I don't want it to.
Wow.
I will riot.
Because I don't trust the NHL. What have they done to earn my trust?
I mean, they finally did this.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You finally got out of your own way, NHL. Congratulations. Now, make this a consistent thing. Do the Four Nations face-off, and then every 2 years alternate between the Olympics and the World Cup. and do a Four Nations face-off every single year. That is how you promote your game on a national stage in the United States. That is how you promote your game overseas. You don't do it by doing this crappy little game that nobody cares about every year. You finally got it right. Keep doing it right, NHL. And right now, nobody trusts you. It's not just me. I speak for everybody when I say we don't trust you until we see it happen. So just stay out of your own way and keep doing this. If you do it right, fantastic. You've helped yourself. If not, if they don't do this right, if they get this wrong, if they screw up again, I'll still be back here watching because I'm the diehard fan, but you lose the casuals.
Yeah, and here's my thing, right? Here's my thing, right? This is almost, there are very, very few sure things in life, all right? Very, very sure things like that. One of them is death. Death is a surefire thing, is going to happen to everyone. No one's immortal. No one lives forever, in a conscious state. Your name can go on, but you as an entity will cease to exist. For the NHL to mess this up, right? To screw this up, it would have to be malicious in doing so. This is such a surefire win for hockey that the only way this does not go well is by malicious intent to ensure that it doesn't. All right? Like, that's the only way this doesn't go well. There is no other way that this is not a success. It's not possible for it not to be a success. There's no way this fails unless someone makes it fail. And the only way you can make it fail is, like Ian said, you have to go back on your word. And at that point, if Gary Big Baby Bettman, which is going to be a t-shirt or a bumper sticker here soon, I swear to God.
Can you also put Glenn Big Baby Davis on there too?
It's going to say Gary Big Baby Bettman, and it's going to be Bettman's head on Big Baby Davis's body. It's going to be perfect. We're going to love it. But he would have to go back on his word. And to be honest, if there was any other sports league that had a commissioner that had prevented or gone against having their athletes on the international stage and not bringing in the funds and the viewership and the sponsorships and things that the Olympics can bring into a sports league, they would have been fired for incompetence long ago. Somehow Gary Bettman managed to, his boys club that he's got in the NHL kept him in power, but he's finally doing the right thing. Now, this is not a clear-cut win for the NHL. And let me tell you why. And like I said, I already said there's no way it's not successful. I didn't say it wasn't going to be successful. I said it's not a clear-cut win. And it's something that's out of their control. Because as of right now, the Russians are banned from team sports. Nothing that the athletes did. It's the political climate and everything that's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And unfortunately, the athletes pay the price. As of right now, there are no Russian team sports allowed in the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. It remains to be seen if they will be allowed to play team sports in 2026. All depends on what's going on over there, right? It all depends on how that whole situation is handling itself out. But if the Russians are not allowed to play, there are some big names that are not going to be in hockey in the Olympics in 2026. And here are just a few of them. We have Nikita Kucherov, current points leader, Artemi Panarin. All right. Evgeny Malkin, Alexander Ovechkin, Kaprizov won't be there. Dmitry Orlov won't be there. Vladimir Tarasenko. That's just a few of the names that will not be representing their country, in the Olympics come 2026 if Russia is not allowed to participate. So, like I said, it's out of their control. It's out of the NHL's control. It's out of the players' control. It all comes down to if that conflict over there can be resolved. And I wish it for a speedier resolution. I know a lot of us in the world wish for that to have a peaceful and speedy resolution. But I mean, is it going to be? Will we look back on this and what's going on in the world and say we missed the last chance to see Alexander Ovechkin play in the Olympics?
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
It's a damn shame. It really is. And to think about, some of these guys like Vladimir Tarasenko, he's getting up there too. I mean, he's not a young buck very much anymore. I mean, some of these guys we may never ever see on the international stage again.
I don't think Vladimir Tarasenko's ever gone.
Or we've never seen them. Exactly.
I think he went once.
Tarasenko's never gone. Kucherov's never gone. Panarin's never gone.
Also true.
Panarin's last international competition was the World Cup of Hockey.
Evgeny Malkin's 36.
Malkin shouldn't go. Not because Malkin and Ovechkin shouldn't go, in my opinion, just because they're not good enough to.
Yeah.
But it's a shame because we missed out on. Think about it. 2018? That was the year Ovechkin won the cup. Kuznetsov's not going to go. I don't know if I don't think Kuznetsov's gone to the Olympics either. Like, you've got guys up and down the lineup. Orlov,
Dmitry
good
Orlov,
player,
yeah.
might not get a chance. Vasilevsky, I don't think has ever gone to the Olympics. It's just a shame, really.
It really is. And, it's crazy to think that, like I said, have been 12 years since they were last there. That's 2 Winter Olympics. This would be the 3rd one coming up. That's why it's 12, because they're 4 years apart. If you didn't know that, now you do. So they missed out on 8 years of, or essentially, 11 years of Olympic time. That's a career in some sports. Right? Like, if you didn't get to participate because your league wasn't there, you now don't get to participate ever. Imagine that. Imagine you being the top guy. Like you think about how good Ovechkin was in his prime, right? When he was winning, when he won the Stanley Cup, and we never got to see him go up against the world's best and represent his country. And it's happened to a lot of people. You know what I mean? There's happened to a lot of hockey players, and they have never ever got a chance to represent their country, and may never get a chance. Like, imagine if you played 15 years, right? In the first 5 years, you weren't that great. You were, still getting your legs underneath you, getting an NHL game, and then you were solid for 7 years. Well, we didn't go to the NHL players didn't participate, but you were one of the top players while they didn't participate, and you never got to represent your country, and now you're over the hill and can't. Could you imagine? Like, that makes no sense to me. And why the players didn't fight harder for it. The NHL Players Association, to me, let the players down. And the players themselves let them down. This is just as much on the players and the NHL and their Players Association as it is on the NHL as a whole and the owners and Gary Bettman. Because it takes 2 to tango, man. You can't, just because Gary Bettman doesn't want you in it does not mean you can't voice your displeasure. You can't go out there and say, we want to be in it. And believe it or not, I don't think I've seen too many articles of top tier talent in the NHL complaining loudly enough, if at all, that they didn't get a chance to represent their country. But now, the clouds have parted, the sun is out, the birds are chirping, and in 2026, we will see the best of the best represent their countries in ice hockey. 2026 Winter Olympics, it's going to be great. I'll be watching. You bet your ass I will be. USA, USA, USA. If you're a big hockey person, tune in for your country. If you're not in the United States, represent your country so hard. This is going to be crazy time. I expect tons of comments, excited in this video's comment section for just how great this is going to be. Now let's talk about something else here, because this is not the only big news right now. It is rumored, it's not been announced, not official. It is rumored that the 2025 NHL All-Star Game will not happen. And it will not happen because it is being replaced. Hallelujah. Thank God. About time. For a 4-team international competition of NHL players. Team Canada, Team United States, Team Finland, and Team Sweden will take place in, I believe it is, let me see here, it's Montreal and Boston. Over the 2025 All-Star Weekend, they will play a 4-team playoff in those 2 cities, winner take all. That is what I'm talking about. I am just as excited if not more excited for the fact that the All-Star game is no more as I am that the NHL is finally going to allow players to be in the Olympics. Like, I don't know which one I'm happier about. I really don't. I'm excited about both of these, but honestly, the one that's coming up sooner is the one I want to happen the most, because it means that hopefully, if it is a hit, which I just don't see how it won't be, we will never have to live through another All-Star game again. And that makes it just so much better for me. So Ian, I'm going to start with you on this one. Why did it take so long for the All-Star game to go away? And how happy are you from a scale of 1 to 10 that we don't have to live through that atrocity anymore?
The short answer for why it took so long for the NHL to get rid of it is because the NHL loves getting in its own way.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's the short of it. The long answer is would take an hour, and I'd be told to stop halfway through, so I'm not going to get into that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited I am? Bump it up to about 97. I say 97 for a reason, because Connor McDavid is going to play for Team Canada in an international competition for the first time in his career. And not just him. Let me run down the rosters of guys getting to compete. I'm going to start with Team USA as an American. Projected first line, Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, Alex DeBrincat. Second line, Jason Robertson, Jack Hughes, Brady Tkachuk. Third line, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Brock Besser. Fourth line, Jake Gensel, JT Miller, Clayton Keller. I'd say that is bar none the best collection of talent the U.S. has ever iced in their forward group in an international competition. Defense pairings, Adam Fox paired with Quinn Hughes. Good luck trying to beat that. Second pairing, Jacob Slavin and Charlie McAvoy. That's going to be the most miserable defensive pairing to play against because those two's shutdown abilities is unmatched throughout the league. I think they're the first and second best defensive defensemen in the league, Slavin being number one. Third pair, and this is interesting because this is the young pair, Luke Hughes and Brock Faber. I've liked what I've seen out of Brock Faber. Brock Faber's an excellent defenseman in his own right. He's probably going to win the Calder if Connor Bedard doesn't get healthy soon, and deservedly so. Luke Hughes, ton of potential, ton of offensive potential, and I've liked him outside of one little mistake he had against Dallas trying to defend Wyatt Johnston, but we're not talking about that. But you think about that, again, great collection of talent there. Goalies, Connor Hellebuck, Jeremy Swayman, Thatcher Demko. You look at this roster top to bottom, I'd say it's arguably the best Team USA roster that's ever been iced.
Oh, easy.
I think the only roster that might be comparable is the 1996 World Cup of Hockey roster, which was littered with Hall of Famers. And even then, that's debatable because I think these guys, in terms of pure skill, are better than the guys that played in 96.
Oh, yeah.
Canada, Stamkos, McDavid, Hyman. First line. Second line, McKinnon, Crosby, Marner. Keep in mind, McKinnon and McDavid will be playing for Team Canada for the first time in their careers. So will Brad Marchand.
The rat.
Because Brad Marchand, if you remember, didn't break out until 2017. Connor Bedard and Sam Reinhart. Fourth line projected to be Barzal, Braden Point, Mark Stone. Of course, you've got Cale Makar and Morgan Riley on defense, alongside Morrissey and Noah Dobson, Evan Bouchard and Dougie Hamilton. Goalie is where their weakness is, though. And I'll tell you why. Because as good as Aiden Hill is, I like Aiden Hill, but are you trusting Canada if they get hurt and they have to start Stuart Skinner?
The drop-off is rough.
The drop-off in goal is rough. You think about it, and I'm just look at it in terms of a pure hockey perspective. We're finally getting best-on-best international competition back. And we get to see players who are arguably the most skilled they've ever been play in a best-on-best tournament for the first time since 2016. It's almost 10 years. So if you're a hockey fan, you should be rooting for this to happen. You should be actively sending letters into the NHL's front office asking for this to happen. And when it does, be excited, because those guys are going to come out the gate. They're going to be hungry. They're going to fly around, and it might be some of the best hockey we've ever seen. And that's why I'm excited.
Oh man, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Those, if you're not excited after hearing those names just for Team Canada and Team USA, you're not a hockey fan, because that is like it is insane, the level of talent that is just on those two teams alone. There's two other teams. Still got Finland and Sweden. All right. And I'm not going to lie to you. If it gets announced, I don't have a lot of reasons to travel to the East Coast around this time of year. But I might just pack my bags and take a little flight over there to catch one of these games, because it is going to be historic. It will be absolutely historic. So, Ian, with all of those names you named, right? And with it replacing the All-Star game, if Team Canada and Team USA meet up, and that's the matchup, who wins?
That's a good one. I think they're evenly matched in the forward core. Canada might be a little bit deeper, especially at center. They've got the international experience with Crosby. Marchand was... you could argue Marchand's rise to superstardom was kick-started by that 2016 World Cup of Hockey being paired with Crosby. You can give the forward core edge to Canada. That's not where a tournament's won. That's not where a Stanley Cup is won. Team USA's defense doesn't have Cale Makar. They have Adam Fox and Charlie McAvoy, Jacob Slavin, and Quinn Hughes. In goal, if Connor Hellebuck's on, I'm not betting against him, especially behind that defense. Give me Team USA 4-2.
4-2. Okay, I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. Don't get me wrong. Let's be real. Regardless of how this shakes out, as long as it happens, we all win. We do.
100%.
As hockey fans, we all win. And I don't think that there's any way we don't win in this situation. It is going to be an absolute master class of hockey. And if you're not tuning in for, like, this, and the good news is that ESPN will advertise the shit out of this. Yeah, unlike all of that other, like, unlike the Stanley Cup playoffs where, like, you get like a 5-second fucking team logo Stanley Cup.
Yeah, ESPN, that was a joke.
Done.
By the way.
Well, what was even a bigger joke about it was that the game 7 between, I think it was game 7 between the Celtics and the 76ers or whoever they were facing, was the commercial before that, and I counted it. It was 20. I rewound and then pressed play and counted. Like, kept time. It was 20 seconds of NBA, like 20 plus seconds of NBA coverage for their game 7. And the game 7 for the NHL was 5 seconds, team logos, Stanley Cup, and then it was done. So they're not going to be able to do that this time. This is international stage. This is ESPN will advertise this. This is going to get major traction. This is going to be a big deal. And there's no way, as long as Gary Big Baby Bettman doesn't go back on his word, right? As long as he doesn't take it back, this is the win. And I am so happy for it. But that's all we have time for today. Thank you for tuning into The Crease. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube for this channel, as well as all of our other media sources for the House Call Sports. That includes Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. Check us all out. We got more to offer than just hockey. We got a football segment called The Gridiron. We got a basketball segment called The Brick House. We have a baseball segment called The Bush League Bros. And we have our WWE, UFC, and MMA segment, as well as boxing, called The Fight Pit. Be sure to check us all out. All those channels are linked underneath the Crease channel on YouTube. Be sure to go like, follow, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time here on The Crease.